People deluded, I'm back again. Now, as you can see on the shirt I'm wearing, and obviously my main channel, DG Deluded Goon, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm a fan of the game first. Now, I love football, and for obvious reasons, we all do, man, old, regardless of your skin color, sexual orientation. It's a simple game, but we love it, and we love our football teams. Now, because I love my football team and I love the sport, I'm no expert on all these other clubs, but I like to look at what the other teams are doing. So please allow me to share my thoughts on such people. Let's start with Spurs. Now, Spurs lost. I'm not worried about Spurs. I don't think they're a serious club anyways. I think Postecoglou has a lot of faults and a lot of good things as a manager, but I think he's destined to fail. I know he sits there and he rambles or waffles about, I normally win things in my second year. And, you know, from a humble humility point of view, I hope for you that you're right in that regards. From a fan point of view, I don't want Spurs to win anything. Hopefully, at the time of making this vid, they're yet to play Coventry in the League Cup. Hopefully, Coventry can do a favour for football and make sure the trophy drought at Spurs goes on. I don't know who told them they're a good club. You're destined to fail where Levy's concerned. Every club has had misses in the transfer market. You know, I'd say City they've had misses, but they've probably got the best ratio. Arsenal signings haven't always worked out, although it's been better in that regards. Man United definitely hasn't worked out. Anthony and that. Chelsea have a million players, more players than we can count, you know, and all the others. So I can't really get at Spurs with that. But you've got Levy where, you know, let's be honest, as long as the Beyonce concerts keep coming in and all those extracurricular stadium activities, as well as Spurs being a Premier League brand, the money keeps coming in. Levy don't care about nothing. Now, and again, I don't know who is in charge of making the transfers. I don't know over there how much of a say Postecoglou has. But when you're spending, and I think Solanke's a good player for what it's worth, but 65 million on Solanke, which nothing to do with him personally. Brennan Johnson is toilet water, really. 50 million on him, 50 odd on Richarlison, re-signing, let alone signing in the first place, Werner. And then you sign a bunch of, I'm sure, young, talented kids. You know, that Swedish guy is good. I do like Archie Gray, but they're young players learning tricks and trades of the game. You haven't really armed him with any tools. You add that, the players are not street smart. And the manager clearly isn't. You know, I do think Spurs, I wouldn't call it exciting as an Arsenal fan, but quote unquote, I do think definitely of what I've seen of Spurs in a while, it is front-footed, it is progressive, it is a system and an ethos that can be classed as quote unquote exciting and looking to dominate play. But at the end of the day, you need to put the ball in the back of the net, you need to keep balls out the back of yours, and Spurs are unable to do that. They're still going through trials and tribulations. At no point was I scared against Spurs, if I'm honest. First 20 minutes they had a lot of the ball, but I do think excluding the Arsenal game, you know, they beat Everton, fair play, you got your 3 points, but it's been a tale of two halves between Tottenham Hotspur. You know, against Leicester, they should have scored about 7 in the first half. How did the game end? Obviously, the second half, Newcastle went and got the winner, but Spurs had them on the ropes in the second half. In the first, it was a bit so-so. So I think Spurs can't be considered serious. I guess they could, you know, I don't think they got the biggest squad and enough quality. I think they'll fight for top 4. I hope as an Arsenal fan they don't get fourth. Now, I'm not going to lie. Moving on to Chelsea, I think they're a season or two away from getting back to where they were. I'm not going to lie. I maintain this and I've said this. I think if they really show faith in their manager and get their house in order and clear ranks, I think they could be back doing what they're doing. They've got, you know, to have Jadon Sancho look very positive against Bournemouth, you know, and he linked up with Nkunku off the bench to get a winner. João Felix, if they can get a tune out of him. Cole Palmer is sick. I can't lie to you. I think Madueke is a squad player, but I rate Madueke's mentality. If Mudryk had Madueke's mentality, his fortunes at Chelsea might be a bit better. They've, you know, obviously, I think they've got too many players. They've got injuries. They're in a transitional period. They need to give the manager time, assuming that, you know, things don't fall off a cliff. I still think they're struggling at times with building out from the back and really creating chances and following runners. But in terms of structure, in terms of, you know, thinking and ethos and all of that, I think Chelsea are installing that. So I think Chelsea can fight for fourth, maybe even higher than that. But I do think in the next few years, even if the next 18 months, depending on how things go, they're going to get in title and trophy conversations. Now, Liverpool under Arne Slot has near enough been perfect. Unfortunately for them, they lost to Nottingham Forest. I still am waiting to see how they play in the big games. Obviously, big up Man United and whatnot. But come on, there's a golfing class between them and Liverpool. I don't think they've got the strongest of depth. But I like what Arne Slot is doing, a bit more possession-based. You know, not really, you know, still doing a bit of the Klopp stuff. The Liverpool players still got that in their muscle memory. But I think Liverpool are doing all right. Gravenberch has been a revelation for them this season in the games I've I've seen, and enjoying his best football on the slot at Liverpool, in my opinion, to date. Manchester City are Manchester City. Is there any need to waffle about City? You've got Haaland, you're welcoming back Gundogan. You're now going to start to play the Rodris and the Fodens, the depth, the manager, everything they do is ridiculous. This is what I told fans when I was doing a watch along of a different game. There's no point celebrating Brentford scoring against City. As an Arsenal fan, and I'm sure if you support Liverpool, any team that wants to win a title, at that point, City just have to lose games. There's only two games I don't want City to. I want City to actually win across a calendar year. That's the two against Spurs. Other than that, for anyone to have a chance, it's not a drawing thing. It's they have to lose, because sometimes being perfect isn't enough to beat Manchester City, really. So Man City and Man City, Haaland has scored more goals than a couple of clubs, including mine so far this season. The man's a monster. It's Man City in it, really and truly. I know right now they're facing those charges. I think they're going to beat it because, you've got the most money. You've got the best. You can afford the lawyers. You can afford top level lawyers and get the lawyers the best money, the best that money can buy in terms of lawyers. So they're going to be cool in that regards. Who else is there? Man United, Ten Hag, innit? I don't think Ten Hag's serious. Obviously, they've won 2 trophies, but it's more of the same. It feels like it's in spite of Ten Hag rather than Ten Hag's making things. Whether Man United win, lose or draw, can't really defend. Terrible in terms of build-up play. Midfield is disillusioned. Strikers are not really hitting it off. Defenders, the whole defensive ethos on defending at Man United isn't the best. And it's just moments FC. It's just individual brilliance that's making the difference. Man United's a massive club. They're backing Ten Hag. They are looking to fix things up off the field and get their house in order in that regards. But I don't think Ten Hag is good enough. So I've spoken about Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Manchester United, Manchester City. Obviously, there's no point waffling about Arsenal because you know my thoughts. And if you don't, check out, the videos I've done prior, either on this platform or my second channel, people. So yeah, man, it'll be interesting to see. As an Arsenal fan, for me, we've got more games and not really depth. I know against Spurs, we've shown we can win ugly. We can win despite injuries. Again, against Aston Villa, we were quite poor. We've shown we can get ourselves out of jail. So I'm cool with that. We've only dropped 2 points at this point this season. It'd be lovely to beat City at the Etihad beyond the obvious, because I do believe, we need to get into that territory of we're going to Anfield, we're going to the Etihad and we're winning, or we're not over the moon, because I will be over the moon. I was over the moon last season when we finally won at Old Trafford for a while. We need to start ending our hoodoos at these kind of grounds. But for me, we've got more players, less games. I just want to get into the January period still fighting for what we want to win, really and truly, because the games are coming thick and fast. I think we've got 7 games in 21 days in September. We've played Spurs. At the time of making this video, we're waiting to play Atalanta, then City, then Bolton, I believe. Then you've got Leicester, and that ends September. And then it doesn't get any easier. And even on the topic of Arsenal, I'm not really one of these fans that are saying, I'll take the hit against Atalanta. Play your best players. We played on a Sunday. We're playing on Thursday. There's enough time to rest. Of course, I understand having to maybe be cute and clever with rotation across this period. And people are saying the Atalanta game is the one to take the hit. I understand it. But you want to start the Champions League in the best way. My advice is strongest team out there. Respect the competition. Respect ourselves, because we're not Real Madrid. Win the games. The quicker you win the games and you've mathematically qualified to the next round, make changes. Atalanta's not an easy game. They play very exciting football. They've got the 12th man. Again, we've only been back in the Champions League this season. Playing clubs from other countries and different ethoses is something we need to be wary of. Suddenly, if you lose to Atalanta, you've got to play PSG, you've got to play Inter Milan. These are some very tough games. Again, it's a bit weird, if I'm honest with you, because in the league, obviously, we've made, Arsenal competitive home and away, but I'm a tiny bit more optimistic in our performances when we're away from home. Like, I'd be a bit more nervous for City, North London Derby, Liverpool, United, all of these games at the Emirates versus at their place, because I think we're just a tiny bit better, a bit more switched on, even though the Villa game was poor. In the Champions League, it's a bit different, because in the Champions League, I fancy anyone at home. That's not to say we can beat everyone. I just think we're a bit better at home. So the Shakhtar Donetsk's, the Dynamo Zagreb's, with the greatest of respect, we should be beating them. PSG are a big team. Whether they've got Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, they've got Luis Enrique, they're littered with quality, and anyone can beat anyone, right? But I can't say confident, because it's not a given we're going to win, but I'm confident in us putting our best foot forward. It's them away games, and God forbid, even that, Inter Milan at the San Siro, that's a difficult game. Suddenly, God forbid, but if you lose to Atalanta now, you've got to beat PSG and Inter Milan, and these are not a given, really. Again, we're now in that period where it's 2 games every 10, 2 games a week, 3 games every 10 days, more games with less players. You know, we hope Mikel Merino, Martin Odegaard, Zinchenko now, Tomiyasu, anyone who's got any sort of injury doubt, we hope they're fit sooner rather than later. But we need to get on with it. But yeah, people, man, I just went on a tangent about Arsenal Football Club. But yeah, I've covered everything in that regards. Again, you know, this is why I like doing these kind of videos on my second channel, because as much as I love Arsenal Football Club, I personally think I'm misprofiled on YouTube. I love football, and I guess it's down to me to show that we can talk about Arsenal all day, every day, but we can talk about more than just that. So let me know your thoughts if you agree and disagree with certain things I've said, people. Let me know your outlook on how you think the champs and the Prem and all that's going to go. Don't forget to subscribe and all those good things. Stay safe, stay blessed. Peace.